Picture someone 2 months out of a car accident. A leg in a cast, cuts and scrapes, bruises. Their injuries are in plain sight. Take one look, and you have a clear mental picture of what happened to them. Now, think about someone who survived a narcissistic relationship. No visible wounds, no broken bones. But the damage, the trauma, the wounds you don't see is just as real. This trauma comes through in how they behave. Let's look at some of these behaviors. You might recognize them in someone you know, or even in yourself. Some of these behaviors might seem quirky, but they are not quirks. They're survival mechanisms. There are many ways in which your hidden wounds might manifest post-narcissistic abuse. But, for the purpose of this video, let's unpack 7 of them. And the last one might surprise you and also give you some hope, so please watch this video till the end. The first one is fear of speaking up. So let's say you're with someone new now, and they are not a narcissist. Yet you're still afraid to tell them if something bothers you. You feel guilty and think you should try harder not to be a nuisance. This is a common trauma response, where you're hyper-vigilant and sensitive to potential conflict or disapproval. In the past, every time you spoke up to your narcissist about their behavior, they reacted aggressively. Over time, you learned to stay silent to avoid conflict. Your narcissistic ex made you believe that any issues in the relationship were your fault. You internalized this guilt, and even now, you feel responsible for keeping the peace, often sacrificing your own well-being. You were constantly gaslighted into believing your needs and feelings were a burden. And now, even though your current relationship is much healthier, you're still afraid to assert your needs. You keep suppressing your feelings and prioritizing your partner's comfort over your own. 2. Seeking constant reassurance. You keep asking your new partner if they still love you or if they want to leave you. You crave this constant reassurance because you struggle to believe you're lovable and worthy. In your previous relationship, the narcissist probably threatened to leave you, or maybe they actually did leave you as a way to control you. They also likely gave you affection sporadically, keeping you in a state of uncertainty. This inconsistency has made you anxious about your partner's feelings now, so you constantly need confirmation of their commitment. Years of emotional instability made you hyper-vigilant. You've been conditioned to always check the temperature of your relationship to preempt any potential trouble. 3. Struggling with boundaries. Boundaries are still tough for you. You learn to survive by constantly adjusting them, and this habit doesn't just disappear because you're with someone normal now. The narcissist in your past convinced you that your needs were less important. So now, you oscillate between feeling you should assert yourself and feeling guilty for doing so. This leads to boundaries that are sometimes overly strict and sometimes non-existent. Even in this new, healthy relationship, you might fear that setting boundaries will lead to conflict or rejection. You might sometimes set really strict boundaries, but then you just go to having no boundaries at all because you're afraid of pushing your new love away and ashamed of asserting your needs. 4. You're hypervigilant. Imagine you're home alone at night and you hear a noise downstairs. Your heart races, your breath becomes shallow. Every little creak or rustle makes you jump. Did I lock the front door? The back door? Are the windows closed? Who can it be? What do they want? How did they get inside? Shit, where do I hide? Should I call 911? What if they hear me? What's that noise? What was that? You are so tense, you feel like one more unexpected noise, and you will break into 1,000 crystal pieces. Now, picture living your everyday life with that same level of constant alertness. That's what hypervigilance feels like for someone who has survived a relationship with a narcissist. This hyper-alert state is a survival mechanism developed to anticipate and avoid potential emotional landmines. While it might sound exhausting, and it really is, it also shows how resilient you are. 5. Hyper-independence. You feel the need to be fiercely independent because relying on someone else feels dangerous. It makes you vulnerable, and it can be used to manipulate, control, or demean you. Living with a narcissist taught you not to trust anyone, not even those who genuinely care about you. You've been conditioned to believe that asking for help or relying on someone else will lead to betrayal or harm. There are 2 more reasons why you might feel you need to rely only on yourself. First, the narcissist made you feel so incompetent and dependent on him that you now feel the need to prove to yourself that you are indeed capable and self-sufficient. Second, you refuse help because you've internalized the idea that your needs are a burden to others, and you dread imposing on others, or being seen as needy, weak, or helpless. Hyper-independence is a survival habit formed out of necessity. If you still act this way, even with your new partner who has never given you any reason to feel this way, it can be a sign that you're still dealing with unresolved trauma. This hyper-independence can also become a part of your identity as a survivor. You might feel a sense of pride and accomplishment in your ability to manage on your own, which only reinforces your reluctance to accept help. Behavior number 6 on our list is impulsive spending. You just can't save any money. Sometimes you get yourself to save for several months, and you're really good about it, and you manage to save a large amount, but then you feel you have to spend it. There could be several reasons for this. When you lived with a narcissist, you were used to the idea that your life was uncertain and entirely unpredictable, so you've learned to focus on immediate gratification rather than long-term planning. Your narcissist might have been monitoring and restricting your spending, so once you left them, you rebelled against any form of financial restriction and asserted your independence by spending money. You still feel anxious and vulnerable all the time, and blowing money is your way to get a quick dopamine boost. If your narcissist used financial control as a form of abuse, you might have ingrained beliefs about money being a source of conflict or stress, and this belief might lead to impulsive spending as your way to avoid deeper financial anxieties. You may subconsciously believe that you don't deserve financial stability or success, which leads to self-sabotage. And here's the last behavior on today's list. But before I get to that, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please show your support by liking it and subscribing to my channel. Your support means the world to me. This last point is more of a skill you might get after surviving a narcissistic relationship. Your sixth sense, your heightened intuition about people. You tend to see through the bullshit much quicker now. You learn that the truth lies in actions, not words. You've been through enough manipulation and deceit to be able to spot red flags. You've become a master of pattern recognition. This protects you from falling into the same traps again. Now, when something feels off, you listen to that feeling and act on it. You're more cautious, more selective, and way less likely to let just anyone into your inner circle. But naturally, none of this is all black and white. Sometimes you might find yourself overly suspicious, mistaking innocent behavior for manipulation. It's a constant battle to balance caution with openness. Gaslighting leaves scars, and you might be second-guessing your intuition. It's hard to discern true red flags from the ghosts of past manipulations. Past trauma can cloud your judgment. Emotional triggers might make you overreact to situations, seeing threats where none exist. It's a challenge to separate past pain from present reality. So, stay aware, stay cautious. But don't let the past hold you back from trusting and connecting with the right people. And please, if you can, get professional therapy. Learn more about how to protect yourself from narcissistic abuse in this video here. Or, if you're in the early stages of dating someone and you suspect they might be a narcissist, but you can't say for sure, watch this video titled 10 Hidden Signs You're Dealing with a Covert Narcissist.